It's 3:30 in the morning, Saturday, August 28th. Had a bit of excitement about midnight. Went to bed early because I was looking forward to the sail tomorrow down to Block Island. It'd be windy. I knew the wind was going to shift. So wind was going to start coming out of the northeast and really start cranking at night. And looking forward to the sail, which was going to be a run from Cuttyhunk to Block, about 40 miles or so, not including a jibe. So I went to bed early, about midnight. Woke up kind of a little uneasy because I knew the wind was going to shift, and where I was anchored, the holding isn't that great. There's a lot of seagrass. I anchor in a more shallow area, and I was holding just fine in the southerly, or as best I could tell, just fine. When the wind shifted, about 180 degrees, it put me as the weather boat in the anchorage. And anybody who's been to Cuttyhunk knows how tight they pack the boats in there. Even the boats that are on moorings are bow to stern. It's crazy how tight they pack them in. And then on the moorings, we're all pretty tight as well. So it's a good thing I got up to take a leak because I was dragging, and I was coming down quickly as the wind picked up on Hans 41 or something. The guy was awake and looking, screaming at me. Started the engine. Of course, I'm alone, makes it interesting. Started the engine immediately, backed down. I thought, this won't be so bad. I'll just back it down, break the anchor, and then reset it. But I had to reset it into an even shallower spot with even more seagrass, and I couldn't get any holding. I mean, I tried for 2 hours to try, and I've tried different spots, very, very few areas. I was motoring around, and finally I thought, this is nuts. There's no way I'm going to be able to pick up a mooring inside because it's just too packed. It's no way. And the only option at that point was to motor out of the anchorage, the inside anchorage, to the outside anchorage where I'm at now. So it was quite a cluster. So after several times of setting or trying to set the anchor and then having to pick it back up again, running back and forth between the helm station and the bow, clear the anchor of all, it would just be completely engulfed in seagrass every time it came up, completely. Just a big, I couldn't even lift the anchor. The seagrass was so heavy on top of the anchor, I couldn't lift it. I could get it just so that it was off the bottom. When I would motor the seagrass, enough would come off that I could then lift it and just get it high enough out of the water. So it became apparent that I was not going to be able to anchor inside. It was pitch black, obviously. I had to go. I just had to get out of there, and it just seemed like the only viable solution, considering that what was I going to do? Just keep motoring around the anchorage? I was eventually going to hit somebody if that was the case, because I wasn't going to hold, and there was just no place to go. So I started, the engine was on. I started the electronics so I could see the depth. I'm rolling around quite a bit here. Whoa. Started the GPS up. Of course, the GPS is in day mode. It doesn't know to go right to night mode, which is dumb. Come on, Raymarine. If it's at night, have it programmed to go to fucking night mode so that I don't have to be blinded by the damn thing. So then I'm fucking with that, trying to get the thing into night mode. And, meanwhile, I'm driving. The wind's pushing me, and I'm trying to find the channel. I just fucking ran down and grabbed my phone from the V-berth to start Navionics on my phone. So I had Navionics on my phone at the same time I got Navionics on the chart plotter, and I'm trying to dim it. And anyway, I'm bearing down on other boats. It was nuts. It was crazy. So anyway, I finally settled down. By this time, it was 2 hours into it. I was dehydrated and tired, and I was still in my underwear. I got out the cut. I had the Navionics going, and I just slowly motored out the cut, which is just, it's like so narrow. It's crazy. I mean, it's narrow. It's a little frightening during the daytime sometimes, but at night, I mean, thank God, because it's not a well-lit. It's not lit at all. The channel's not lit. There's no lights except there's one red that marks the end of the breakwater. So I just followed the Navionics, slowly motored out, got out into the anchorage, and you think, okay, there's no way I'm anchoring again. That would be stupid. I'm just going to pick up a mooring. There's another very crowded mooring field out here, but thankfully a couple of empty moorings. And they're kind of handy in that they've got a ball and then a big metal rod that comes out vertically with an eye. And all you got to do is stick, the end of a line through the eye, and then you bring either end to your bow cleats. Easy peasy, right? Well, not so much when it's blowing 25 and you're all alone. So I pull up next to it. I get the line. I had pulled some docking line out of the sail locker. I get the line around. Like, okay, this will be pretty easy. Well, the wind's blowing me, and of course it blows my bow around so that my stern is into the wind. And now I'm stern to. I make the line fast on a cleat, and at that point I'm like, I took a breather and just had to sit and think about what I was going to do at that point, because at least I was secured. I wasn't going to drift. And so I thought about it a little bit. Meantime, actually before that, I can't remember exactly what happened, but one of the ends slipped out of my hand, and now I had only one end. It was through the bight, through the splice at the end of the docking line. Now I only had that one end, which complicates things because you really want both ends around both bow cleats. So I got another line, and I tied it to that, tied two bowlines, and I can't even tell you, there's so many other sequences of events, so many snafus and just restarts, but eventually what I had to do was take another line, pass it through the bight, or through the eye in the mooring ball, bring it to the midships cleat, then take the one off the stern, pass that through, get it to the bow cleat. But it really wasn't that easy. I had to motor back and forth. I had to line the bow with the wind as best I could. Anyway, in the end, I finally got secured. I got one line through the eye, so I got it cleated on both bow cleats, and then the other one that I had on there, it's still on, and it's called a safety line for now, and I'll sort that mess out tomorrow morning. Take it off. So I'm secure. I'm on a good mooring. The boat is just rocking and rolling because it is just cranking out. And of course, there's pretty much several miles fetch coming straight down, so there's a lot of waves and a lot of wind. Perfectly flat in the inner anchorage. Here, not so much. But that was my only alternative, and I'm safe, which is cool. But it's not easy cruising alone, because when the shit hits the fan, you got you, and you better hope your shit, you better hope your boat is capable and it's not going to break down on you. Now, in retrospect, I should have, it would have been really smart to have a second anchor, not a plow for this, like probably a Danforth style anchor may have been better. I should have set a second anchor in the anchorage in anticipation for the wind shift. Some people have crazy amounts of ground tackle. They got 100 feet of chain or all chain. I didn't have that. It's really, the ground tackle on this boat is no good. It's got to be rethought. The anchor's got to be rethought. But I know that now, and I had an inkling, but I didn't do anything about it, and I didn't bring the spare anchor. So here I am. It could have been bad, for sure. It could have been really bad had I not, had that bad feeling in my stomach and gotten up to piss and looked around. It could have been pretty bad. But as it turned out, all's well. Didn't touch anybody, didn't put the boat aground, didn't hit anything, didn't hit anybody. So big lessons learned for me. If I'm going to do this alone, I got to rethink my anchoring scheme. And the other thing is, shit, if you know that it's going to crank out and you don't have the best ground tackle, well, just pick up a freaking mooring and pay the fee, and that's what I should have done. So I'm going to remember that. And this was a disaster. It could have been a major disaster. As it stands now, I lost a lot of sleep and I learned a lot of lessons the hard way. But it could have been really bad. I'm just glad everything turned out all right. Tomorrow's going to be interesting, really windy. Of course, I wanted to leave early, but now it's, almost getting on 4 o'clock in the morning. I'll be lucky to get any sleep. So we'll reassess tomorrow, because I'm not in any particular rush. I don't have to get out of here tomorrow, and I can just wait actually for the afternoon when the wind calms down a bit. It's going to blow itself out, so I might just do that, because I'm really not in any big rush. So there it is. I'll put this to YouTube when I get a hookup. But that was not fun. I can tell you, it was not fun at all. And navigating your boat in its tight anchorage with in a boat like this, it doesn't maneuver particularly well. It's not bad, but keel centerboard boat. It doesn't pivot. It slides a lot. A lot of propeller walk, all that. Not easy. So I'm just glad it's over, because I was like, shit, I don't know what my options are at this point, and it just became clear my only option was to get the hell out of Dodge. Anyway, probably an article in there. So I wanted to document it on YouTube just to kind of remember the sequence of events, what happened. It was crazy. Back and forth from the helm station to the bow, I must have done it 50 times. I don't want to do that again. That was no fucking fun, for sure. So, there you have it. Some Seamanship 101 lesson for me. Or maybe it's 201, I don't know. I hope I've graduated past 101. I don't wish that upon anybody, though. It was a real disaster. And anybody with less, I don't know, I hate to say it, less fitness, you would have been no, you wouldn't have been able to do it. You wouldn't be able to get the anchor up. You wouldn't be able to run around as much. So, another variable in the equation. All right, that's 15 minutes of me spewing. I'm going to try and get some sleep. I'll catch you tomorrow.